Hey everybody, welcome to CirdecSongs, my latest interview. I am very excited to have this guest on, but before we get things rolling, would you be so kind as to hit that like and subscribe button for me? Notifications would be awesome, and please leave a few comments. That's really all I have to plug there. Let's get into it. It's not every day that I get to speak to someone that my favorite drummer, Bill Bruford, name checks as one of his favorite drummers. So please say hello to a fantastic musician, Asaf Sirkis. How are you doing, sir?
Very well, thank you. Thank you. It's great to be on the show.
Excellent, excellent. You are outside of London, if I understand correctly. Is that correct?
Yes, I live, when I'm in the UK, I live in a place called Luton, which is not far away from London, near the airport, London Luton Airport. And I also live half of the time in Germany, in Würzburg, in Bavaria.
So a man who gets around. Excellent. I ask everybody this question. We're in what I guess we would call the mostly post-era of COVID. Things have kind of opened up again. How has your music world changed, before and now after? And how are things going since things opened up?
Yeah, that is an interesting question. And I think if you ask any musician or anyone, I think everyone went through something life-changing through in the COVID times, and so yeah, definitely for me, one of the things that I had the chance to do after a very, very long time. So, I've been touring basically since I'm 19 years old. And it's the only time where I was able to just be at home and sit at home and just sit and reflect on, stuff that I've done already and, on what I want to do next and what I want to do with my artistic life, so to speak. And yeah, I think a lot has changed since then when both in my consciousness but also externally. Well, the first thing I came back to writing a lot of music. So during the COVID time, I was writing a lot of music. So I think the stuff I've written, it's all filed up, and I'm trying to release it as fast as I can. But there's a lot there. I think there's at least 10 albums there worth of music that I can release, and I'm trying to do that. So that's the first thing, which was really, really great for me, just coming back to writing music, which is something I really feel very, very strongly about, something that I feel it's something I was kind of longing for without knowing, because when before COVID, I think for everyone it was the same. We were so busy, doing stuff and doing, and sometimes you forget these things. But the whole introspection thing really reminded me that actually I really like writing music and playing it on the drums as well. So that was, I think, but the major discovery or rediscovery that I had inside, and outside as well. I started to do recorded an album, and I have this new video series which I call Time for Space, which is currently on video 75 or something, which has just few of those pieces that I've written, and it's all up on YouTube and stuff if anyone wants to check it out. But other than that, it seems COVID travel restrictions has kind of mellowed down a little bit, at least in Europe. There is a surge, and I think a lot of people feel this also in other areas, not only in music, of new projects, new collaborations and stuff. So I was very lucky to start working with Soft Machine, which is really one of my favorite bands. And from next year, basically, I'm going to be their regular drummer, which is I'm really happy about that. Very, very happy about. about that. And also, I've been, basically playing with new people that I haven't played before. So some of people of younger generation here in the UK, and other people. Basically, a lot of new projects and meeting new people, which is really, really exciting. Yeah.
Excellent. So you have to find new chemistry with new musicians. How difficult is it for you to blend in with somebody new?
Well, not really difficult, because again, I guess because I'm lucky to have the project, being offered the projects and the things that initially I already like. So like,
right.
For me, playing with Soft Machine is like, I know that language, I know that music, I know those pieces, I know those songs, I know the history of the band, I know the people, the various people
right.
in the history of that band, and so it's just really exciting, and of course it is a process. You can't come to a band and immediately pretend that you've played with them for the last 20 years. It does take
right.
some time, and it takes some mileage to kind of adjust yourself to a new musical situation. But it's a really exciting process for me, because initially I really like the music, and it's I think it's like this with most of the new projects that I'm doing right now. A lot of them are with people that I really like either their playing, or the music that they write, or the way they organize the project that they are doing, the way they run the organization of the band and everything, and on the personal level as well. So I can only say that I've been extremely lucky and very thankful that since May this year, there's been a surge of new collaborations and new exciting things, and it's just a whole lot of fun. Any way you see it, it's just great to play with new people, and learn new music and play differently in different situations and stuff. Yeah.
Excellent. Take a minute and describe the Asaf Sirkis sound. How would you define your sound as a drummer?
Wow, that's a tricky question.
Take your time.
Yeah, I will. I think I'm gonna have to. I never thought about that, actually. I've always, well, when you say the word sound, for me, it doesn't only apply to the drums, the sound of the drums themselves. It applies to the sound that the drums make in the music, the contribution of the drums in the music. That is also a sound. And sound is also the language that I use to communicate, I feel. So, I'll give you an example. So, for instance, when I write music, and I write quite regularly, almost on a daily basis, write music, the thing that I always start with is a sound. So it could be a sound of a particular instrument, say the guitar or the bass, or I don't know, the harp or the church organ, which I really like. And I always I like to start from a sound, I would say from a, technically speaking, you could call it vibration or vibrational signature, a kind of a sound signature of some kind. And from there, the music, I feel, naturally can flourish. Okay, and so that's where it all starts for me. And I think this approach kind of bleeds into other things that I'm doing, even like technical things, like tuning my drums. So like if I go and play abroad somewhere where I cannot bring my drum kit, I will spend a lot of time tuning the drum kit. You know, like I'm sure you know the MoonJune Records that Leonardo probably kindly send them to you.
Yes.
Most of these recordings were recorded at a really nice studio in Spain called La Casa Murada, and it's an
Okay.
amazing studio, but the drums are not in a very good state, I have to admit. I mean, they're great drums, but they're old, and you know, you get a lot of humidity, so some of the legs are broken and stuff like that. So I always, almost half a day I spent in La Casa Murada before the recording session starts, preparing the drums. So, you know, I bring my own drum heads, I bring sometimes my own hoops, and of course my own cymbals and stuff like that. So I pay a lot of attention to that. So in a nutshell, I have to start from a sound. I have to prepare the ground so that the sound is, to my ears, kind of aesthetically pleasing enough so that I can make the music. So it's always the sound that's my point of departure. It's not the rhythm, it's not the melody, you know, it's a sound. Sound, by the way, could be a harmony, just a combination of a few notes, some particular voice that evokes a certain emotion or something like that, or a certain arpeggio or some kind of a harmonic movement of some kind that creates an atmosphere, some kind of vibe, basically. And I start from there, always start from there. And it's like that also with the drums and with other things that I do. And it's very frustrating for me, I have to add, if I don't have that to start with. So if I cannot get in a studio the sound that I want, or if I cannot get on the right sound on the keyboard that I like when I write music, it's very hard for me to create something that will be coherent and aesthetically something that I would personally like to use as, you know, recording or playing. Yeah. So it is a very, okay. So describing the sound is like, I don't know, it's quite difficult task for me, but at least I can say that it is extremely important for me to get the right sound first. And that's where I start from.
Makes sense. I, for one, don't like to pin people down to a musical genre. It's too limiting. And I've heard your work, and you seem really comfortable in more of a fusion type of format. And I remember saying to myself, I wonder, that's a really cool jazz-driven sound. I wonder if he's done anything, you know, in the straight-ahead jazz world. Then I found your trio, and I found another trio you played, and I'm like, oh, yep, there it is. He plays perfectly comfortably in a straight-ahead traditional jazz type format. Is there any particular realm you feel more comfortable in, or does everything kind of feel the same to you?
Again, it's not that it feels the same. For me, it's again coming back to the sound. Okay, so for me, it's less to do. Of course, you don't wake up one morning and you're a jazz drummer. You need to do some practice. You need to do some transcriptions. You need to do some exercises, some technical stuff, which and also do the mileage, play some jazz on the road. And I've been lucky to be able to do that. So I've been doing that, and so I have, so to speak, how can I say, gathered some vocabulary in the realm of straight ahead jazz, but also because of my upbringing and the way the music I was listening to in my early teens, which was prog rock, started with prog rock, and then whatever was hot at the time in the jazz world, which was electric jazz. It was Weather Report. It was
Right.
Alan Holdsworth. It was, Mahavishnu Orchestra, Wayne Shorter, all these kind of very, very electric-driven, powerful jazz bands. So I grew up with that. So I have that sound in my head. And of course, starting to play, that's the stuff I gravitated to. And that's the stuff all my friends were gravitating to, because that was the jazz of the time. So we were all trying to play that stuff. And so I got some of that vocabulary as well. Also, growing up in a very eclectic place, Israel, you learn other styles of music that has nothing to do with jazz, has nothing to do with straight ahead or fusion. I'm talking about Middle Eastern music and Balkan music and Yemenite music and all sorts of stuff that I got exposed to, both listening and playing, which kind of expanded my vocabulary. Okay, so on the technical, quote unquote, historic level, you say that I've over the years I've gathered some vocabulary that allows me to play some of these styles of music. But in my mind, when I sit and play, that's not the way I think about it. I think about every situation as the style of music. So I can play in two quote unquote straight ahead bands, and I don't think I'm playing straight ahead, or I should be playing straight ahead, or not, or whatever. I'm thinking about the people in the band playing, and that is the style. Not in terms of boxing the genre aspect of things. Okay, so it's enough that even if you look at stuff you listen to, like Thelonious Monk and Keith Jarrett, they're both you can say straight ahead jazz pianists, or modern straight ahead jazz, whatever you can call it, but it's like another planet. It's like a complete other planet.
Exactly.
It's like, so playing with Thelonious Monk as a drummer and playing with Keith Jarrett as a drummer would have been a totally different experience for a drummer, anyone. Okay, so I kind of see it in this way, that every band I play with is the style of the music, is the new style of the music, and yes, for convenience, you can say that, okay, when I'm sitting and playing with let's say Soft Machine, that's like prog, fusion, whatever style of music, and you can call it that for convenience if you want to, but for me that's just Soft Machine. That's Soft Machine style kind of experience. So that's the way I look at it.
Nice, makes sense. And like I said, its genre is just incredibly limiting. But I'm going to have more than a few Asaf Sirkis neophytes watching this. Beginners. When you think about what you've done so far, tell me some records that we should look to that you put out so far.
Oh, like my own record, you mean? My own stuff, or stuff that I played with?
If I right, however you want to look at it, whatever context you were in. If I wanted to learn about you, which records would I go to?
Well, there's a few albums I am happy about. I would say, if it's my band, one of the things I'm kind of proud of, you can say, is the Inner Noise. I used to have a band called Inner Noise, and that's kind of an unusual combination of drums, guitar, and church organ. basically like an organ trio, but with a church-turned organ rather than Hammond, the normal Hammond organ. So he made 3 albums.
Gotcha.
The last one is called The Song Within, and that one I'm really feeling very, very good with. Other than that, I'm very happy with the last album I've made with Kevin Glasgow on bass and Gary Husband on piano and keyboards. We did a trio album. We had guests as well. Also, this is in MoonJune Records. That album is called I can't remember. It's called I forgot what it's called, man. Sorry, I should know this. But
no rush.
The music is good.
Yeah,
the music is good. Check it out. Solar Flash. That's what it's called. Solar Flash.
Okay.
And
I knew you did there.
Yeah. And usually it's the later things that I'm doing that I'm mostly more happy about. Like I've done a very nice session with a very young saxophone player from the UK, from London, called Emma Ravich, and it's going to come out hopefully next year at some point in the spring, I hope. And that album I really enjoy listening to. Also the stuff I've done with Leonardo. There's a lot of things I'm really happy about. Lots of great moments and great sessions that we've done over the years with Dwiki Darmawan, Indonesian pianist, and with Mark Wingfield guitar, and of course Marcus Reuter, which I've done a lot of work with. Actually, me, Marcus, and Alexander Dowek, another touch guitar player, we've done a few albums. A few months ago, we went to the studio for kind of an extended period of time in Germany. I think that was back 4 months ago or something like that. And we've done a really, really long sessions, and we put down a lot of really, in my opinion, interesting music and very different kind of things. And I've heard some of that, and I was very, very happy, very, very happy about the result. And that's coming out hopefully next year at some point. There's a lot of material, obviously we've done like maybe 5 album worth of material. So it's all coming out hopefully next year, both as an audio, but also there's a video as well. So there's lots of things, Yeah. Also video, the whole session was recorded audio and video. So there's going to be a kind of a video audio kind of experience. Yeah.
That'll be fun to see. You talk about MoonJune, you talk about these collaborations. The stuff I listen to, there's a lot of improvisation going on. And you just discussed how much music you're writing beforehand. Are you more comfortable in one format over the other? Do you like to improvise more, or would you rather have things laid out in front of you?
It depends on the sound. Again, it really depends on the sound. So, for instance, when I play with it's really all for me. It's sound. That's all it is. It's not even sound. It's just the way the wave of the notes, the way they interact with each other. That's my inspiration. That's why I play music. Vibration there. So with Marcus Reuter, who is a touch, for those who maybe don't know him, he's an amazing touch guitar player. Touch guitar is a guitar that he designed. It's a guitar that you tap on like that, and he is a master of creating sounds and soundscapes, just sound. Yes. And so for me to play with him, whether it's written material or not, it's always a pleasure and a joy to do that because of the sound. He just makes a sound that inspires me to play, to do more, to play the drums. And so with him, a lot of the stuff that we've done over the years was very improvised, although we've done a few things that were more rocky, I would say, and more formatted and written out and stuff, and that was fun too. But mostly with Marcus, it's improvised stuff, and that's really a lot of fun.
Right.
And when we are lucky and we have Mark Wingfield with us in that combination, that is amplified tenfold, because Mark also is a master of the sound. He's a guitarist, so it's not like his thing is, although he creates very interesting soundscapes and stuff like that, and he also writes beautiful melodic tunes, but the sound that he makes just from his sheer playing the guitar is just really, really inspiring. So when one of the first sessions that I did with MoonJune was Marcus and myself, just two guitars and drums. That's it. That's all it was. And that was really such a trip for me, And it didn't really matter whether there are tunes or not, It's just it was a great experience to play with those two masters of sound, And well, of course, there's the technical thing. Back to your question, there's a technical thing of when you play to a written song, okay? When you play to a written song, there is an element of preparation. So I always like to prepare myself. I don't like reading music. I can read some music, but I prefer not to do that in the studio, definitely not in the studio. So I always like to hear the materials in advance. And if I have that luxury of hearing the material in advance, I always try to learn the material and learn the stuff I'm playing on, to the point where I can sing the melody by heart. I don't need to see any written notes or anything like that. So I like to call it learn by heart, play with your heart. So you really can think about just the music. You don't need to think about the next note. And so there's an element of preparation there when the music is written. So if that's in place, it's really the same experience as playing improvised music. Whenever we play improvised music, I wouldn't say there is preparation. There's some, I would say, conceptual preparation sometimes, which means that I think in Marcus' case, he's very conceptual about the stuff that he wants to put out. So there's always a concept of some kind. Again, not to take anything from the soul and the expression of the music, just as a point of departure from which to try and create something new and something fresh. But in terms of improvised music, that is really, I would say, the only preparation and that can be done on the spot. I don't need to have practice anything at home or prepare at home. We can talk about it and then play and then see, okay, maybe we should change this or that or whatever. So it's the same experience, as long as I have the time to prepare when it's written stuff, basically. And again, it's coming back to the people who create the music. Okay, so that's basically where it all comes from: the people, the sound, their sound, their signature. That's really the main thing that I'm looking at.
Makes sense. I go on and on about the importance of chemistry within a band. Being able to connect with your fellow musicians. How long does it take on average? I know everything changes from time to time, but how long does it take normally for you to kind of blend in with what you're doing, to vibe with the musicians around you?
It's a really good question, actually, because Cedric, everyone is so different, and every person, there's in every personality there's complexity, okay? And when you put 2 or 3 people together, there's double or triple or 10 times the complexity when 2 people come together, or 3 people come together, or 4 people come. And it's also changing. Every day is different. Every moment is different. So in every moment we have a different communication. So those things are very, very dynamic. So they are, and again, I've been really lucky, especially with Leonardo working in the background, making us meet together, making us playing together this MoonJune style or MoonJune music project. He has the ability to foresee how people can. He can say, "Okay, this will work. It's crazy, but it will work." He can say that. So,
right.
and it usually would work not maybe entirely maybe in the way that he imagined, but it would always work, And so I've been lucky with that. So in terms of the MoonJune stuff, there's been very, very minimal adjustment time. So, we just get into the studio and just from beat 1 or 2, the music is there, and from there, and there's like a basic communication or a basic, thing of 2, 3, 4 people looking at the same direction and making music. So that's really easy. And from then on, it's just exploring what's possible. Let's try this. Let's try that. Let's see how we sound in this situation when we have that tempo or that limitation or that harmonic thing or that written melody and so on. Okay, so that's easy. Some situation, and when I say easy, I think the best example of easy, all the MoonJune stuff for me was really easy to communicate, and very, very quickly the music became very natural and very, very a lot of fun, basically, and easy to communicate with people. Like with Dwiki Darmawan, the Indonesian pianist, it was so easy to play. It's like I didn't even need to think about it. It's just like my hands and feet went to the right places after 2 strokes on the drums, and it was there, Or when I played with, I can't remember now, but it'll come back to me. But there were a few sessions that it was so quickly, the chemistry was there. And of course, sometimes I'm thrown into a situation where that's not so easy. But let's say, but you can hear the potential of the interaction between people, and you can hear that potential, and you say, okay, it's maybe not there, but I would like to find it. So you spend 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 gigs, 1, 2 albums, and then after that it becomes natural, and you find your place in the music. You find your sound. You find what you can do, what you can't do in the music, and then you develop something. So it really depends on the situation, depends on the people, depends on the time, depends on the place, depends on so many things. But I have been very, very lucky to be someone who I wouldn't say. I would say that my way of my approach to playing is very interactive. Okay, so like I like to listen and react. If you want to put it very in the simple terms, okay, just listen and react, and so it's easy for me to reflect back to people that I play with their own impetus, their own thing. Okay, so I'm just there to reflect. I'm a good reflector in that sense. So that helped me a lot with blending into a musical project or just finding my own place in every musical situation. Of course, not everyone is into interactive drummers. Sometimes some music situations calls for a very, very how shall I call it, non-interactive playing, where you do your stuff, the bass player does his stuff, the keyboard player does his stuff, the singer does his stuff, and it all kind of works together in a kind of a weird way that for me seems a bit weird, but for some people it seems like it's right. And it's been like this over the years, where I played with people and I just try to find the interaction, and I have hard time to find it in there because they are not. This is not their approach. It's not like let's talk. It's not that kind of thing. Some people just like to do their own thing, and you need to do your own thing, and it has to work together. So. I don't think that is my forte. So I'm not like, this is not the musical situation where I feel the most comfortable. Okay. And again, it's regardless of the style of music that you're playing, whether it's jazz or improvised music or traditional jazz or fusion or whatever, it's down to the preference of the person I'm playing with, Some people just like that sense of interaction. Some people just don't. Some people interact in a very literal way. So you do something on the drums and they kind of react to it, or they do something and then you react to this, and then they hear it and they react to that, and it's kind of you throw the ball, they throw the ball back, and and it's kind of a lot of fun. But it's not always like that, And again, it's just a matter of preference. So in my case, people that are open to more interactive playing, that's where I find playing music the easiest for me. The music projects where people are open to that aspect, I find is the easiest to work with.
Awesome. Now, you mentioned bringing your own cymbals and your own drum heads and whatnot to a session, especially when there are drums already there. How much do you alter the kit itself? Do you add a drum? Do you take a drum away? How does that work for you in terms of organization?
Well, usually when I say come to a theater or a club or a festival, they'll have my drum specifications sent to them earlier, and they'll have, if I'm lucky, they'll have all what I've asked in the drum specification. A lot of time that doesn't happen because of many different reasons, and so I again, if I have the drums with the right drum heads, this is getting a little technical here, but if I have the right drum heads,
right.
I am able to sit and tune the drum kit and get to a place where I'm happy with the sound. Sometimes it takes like 25 minutes or half an hour, sometimes more, depends on the kit, depends on the size of the kit. Usually when there's more drums than I expected, I'd like to use everything. So I like big drum kits because not because of the way it looks. It's just like I like a lot of toms because toms are like notes for me. They're like, it's like you have a scale, a scale of notes in front of you, and the more notes you've got, the more options you have. And so for gigs that are, I would say, more on the fusion side or improv side, I like always to add stuff. And if there is anything that I haven't asked for, like a weird size tom or an extra floor tom or another bass drum, or I like to try and use everything because it's another sound that I can try and explore. When I play with, I would say, maybe more smaller places with, let's say, straight ahead jazz band, then I would not be as experimental as other situations. So, but yeah, I like to use everything. If it's got the right skins, the right heads on the drum, I'll use it. And sometimes, some kits, they come with a set of cymbals, and usually a set of cymbals for a jazz drummer is very important. Okay, it's like it's as important as a snare for a rock drummer. Okay, so it's really like a very personal sound thing. So I always try to bring my own if I can. But sometimes you'll have a set of cymbals together with your hired kit, just in case or whatever. And so I always like to check out if there's this odd cymbal I can try and use. Sometimes I'd use the bottom cymbal of a hi-hat from the hired kit and use it as a ride, or do all sorts of experimental stuff with these kind of things. And again, it's just broadening the palette of sounds that allows me to react to the music. More sounds, basically.
Excellent. We mentioned you had a lot of pieces that you've been writing, especially since the COVID era. When you write something, are you thinking consciously that this is going to be more straight ahead, or this is going to be more fusion, or do you just kind of let things flow naturally?
It's a let things flow, and as much as possible. And I find that with especially I rediscovered that during the lockdown time, where I had actually a chance to sit down and write day after day. So I didn't do this every day, all day, but I was doing something every day, and that made a huge difference. So in the first 2 weeks, all I can come up with is stuff I basically didn't like and didn't use and will probably never get used. But after 3 weeks or 4 weeks, the creativity starts, the ball starts rolling, so to speak, and you start to the creative juices started to work. So more and more stuff was starting to come out, and I'd say, oh wow, I'd like that chord, or I like that bar, or I like that riff. I'd like to and then a week later, oh, that's a nice 8 bars. I can use that for, it's almost a melody. And a month after that, I would write almost a tune every day, because when you do this every day, things start rolling, things start flowing, and it always amazes me with writing music. And I don't know if this is easy for me, just because I've been doing it for a very long time and from very young age, but it's very, very different process to playing an instrument, which is more physical, everyday grind kind of chops, maintenance kind of process. Whereas in writing, it's just getting that that ball rolling, and from there it's just easy, it just works. And so I've been basically doing that on and off since the lockdown time, just writing music almost every day as much as I can. Sometimes very short time, not always I have a lot of time, but that's the more I do it, the more it's a flow rather than I would say an approach of, okay, I'm going to write this now or in this or that style. So it's more of a flow.
Right.
Sometimes
excellent.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. I mean,
this is about you. Go ahead.
Well, the thing is, the only downside with that is what happened after a couple of years of doing that. I realized that I keep writing the same tune again and again. So it's crazy, So what I'm trying to do now, this is a new thing for me, is actually do quote unquote writing exercises. So I'm trying to, so those are exercises basically. So I'm trying to basically limit myself to an approach. So say I'm going to write a tune where there's two melodies going at the same time, or just one melody in unison without chords, or just chord, or something like that, some kind of technical structure to kind of throw me out of my own box, so to speak, and get into the flow that way. Okay, so, but it's not. I'm not saying, okay, I'm going to do this exercise and that's going to be the piece, and I'm going to make it, and then my next album this is going to be the piece of my next album. I'm using it as a point of departure, as a place where I can challenge myself enough so I can discover new things rather than writing the same tune again and again and again and again.
But if you write it again and again and again and again, it means you were destined to write that tune. So you have to,
probably,
you accept the gift and go forward. How often do you go ahead?
Yeah, well, luckily there's a few of them, a few tunes that I write again and again, not just the one. So
that's good. When you write, do you have a musician in mind to collaborate with? Marcus needs to be on this, or Dwicky needs to be on that. Does that come to mind, or you just go forward?
No, not necessarily, but sometimes it's a good question, because sometimes I write something, and I obviously, because I like to reflect and take in people's personality somehow and reflect this back to them. So some of that stuff sank in. So with the years, so there's some tunes it's not consciously, I'm not thinking about someone, but there's this tune that I was actually thinking about this guy that I played with, this let's say this pianist from Israel that I used to play with back in the old days, or this or Dwicky, and it's not that the tune is meant for this person to play, but it reminds me that person. Okay, it's not even that the style of the music is exactly like the person. Let me try to give you an example. I'm not very good with names, but I'll try to do my best. There is this guy on the internet. He's really great drummer. I forgot his name. Sorry, Brady or something. He's a guy from Australia, I think. He's a fantastic groove drummer.
Okay.
And I watch his Instagram posts, which are really, really short 1-minute segments of him playing these insane pocket grooves. And I just love this guy. He's just this guy full of groove, and is such a great drummer, and so subtle and amazing. So I wrote this tune that has nothing to do with the style of music that he's playing, which is very old groove based and stuff like this. But something in that tune reminded me of that person. And yeah, well, I called that tune the Groover, and I dedicated to him. So so it works for me like this. So sometimes I hear a tune back and I say, that sounds like Tim Garland, okay? That sounds like the Wiki Dharma, you know.
Okay.
Occasionally I have that. Sometimes when I write some things that are more for an album, say like I write a new album like I just did now with my new quartet, then I do think about the musicians involved. I do take the time and say, okay, Frank Harrison, the piano player that plays in my band currently, he is just such a lyrical pianist. Very, very, you know, the moments where Frank plays a ballad, it's just can make you cry. So I make sure that aspect is there. You know, I want I want the music to have that strength in it. Or David, the Preston, the guitar player, has a lot of very he makes a lot of very interesting, unusual sound out of the guitar. So I try to accommodate that in the music somehow to give that because I feel that is a very strong aspect in his playing, and I want him to shine, and I want that in the music somehow. So I try to accommodate all these strengths of people, or the bass player Kevin Glasgow, who really developed a very, very particular, unique harmonic language, melodic and harmonic language. So I make sure that when he plays a solo, the harmony will accommodate that aspect of his playing, you know. So basically trying to feature and give the guys points where they can be their true self. And yeah, I do think about that quite a lot.
Okay. Excellent. Let's play a little game that I like to call my favorites. You are
okay.
a drummer. Rattle off some of your favorite drummers.
Favorite drummers. Okay, first guy that comes in mind is Gary Husband, which I've been very fortunate to know personally and also play with him. He's also an amazing keyboard player, as we all know. He plays with John McLaughlin's band as a keyboard player and also as a drummer. Played with one of my favorite guitar player of all time, Alan Holdsworth.
Oh yes.
And he did so many other amazing things. You know, his solo piano albums are pretty amazing. So that's the first guy that comes in mind. He was quite influential for me. Jack DeJohnette is another guy that I've been listening to for a very, very, very long time, especially earlier on in my, my early 20s. I was really, really into Jack. What I like about Jack is his sense of fluidity. It's just sense of flow and just, sense of time and groove and flow, basically, which is really, really very, very unique to him. Elvin Jones is another one which I really like. There's a lot of people from the jazz world. Frankie Dunlop is another guy that I really, really love. He was playing with Thelonious Monk Quartet for a long time. Really like his. He's from Chicago, I think. He really like.
I think you're right.
Yeah, he really like his rhythmic language and his kind of rhythmic approach. And I'm also into South Indian percussionists very much. People like Kari Kudimani, who is a mridangam player, which I really, really love. Govinda Harishankar, who is a Kanjira player. Gatam Suresh Vaidyanathan, who is a Gatam player, Claypot. I listen to a lot of South Indian music too. So there's a lot of people, but those are the people that kind of float in my head right now. How about you?
Makes sense that we all have those favorites that just me for drummers. Geez. Okay, well I'm gonna throw you in there just to cheap plug. But for me, the first one that comes to mind is Bill Bruford. Bill is one of the more versatile drummers. He's a favorite, and I was going to ask. I know that he mentioned you as one of his favorites. How does something like that strike you?
Well, I was almost embarrassed, really, to hear that, because Bill has also been very influential for me. I've been listening to Bill since I was not even maybe 9 or 10. Especially the work, of course, that he is done in the 70s with Yes and UK and all the other, and of course his own project, especially the first 2 albums, which are Feels Good to Me and One of a Kind. And I think One of a Kind is really that fusion band. I mean that title, One of a Kind, is really describes Bill. I mean,
he surrounded himself with some talent between Alan Holdsworth and Jeff Berlin and Dave Stewart. So that's just an amazing band.
Absolutely. That album is just, for me, is just a masterpiece. I've listened to it so much, over the years, especially earlier on. Bill is just it was very influential, and again, his rhythmic approach, his sound as well, which was very unusual, and his the way he set up his kit, and again, what I like about him, he's like a boundary breaker, basically. He broke the rules in many different aspects of the music, at least the music at the time that he was active in. So playing in all those very, very strange time signatures. But not only that, it's also the way he played on those time signatures, the way he manipulated the time within those. Because it's okay, we can all count to 5, we can all count to 7, we can all count to 9, but the way he approached it was so unique. And of course, his snare sound is just, Banan, the most unique snare sound I've ever heard, and also I really loved the way he set up his toms. So he didn't have lots of conventional toms which have certain depth to them. He had what we call in the drum roll, we call rototoms, which are very thin, percussive sound, and he got such percussive sound out of these toms, and so different, so and also, of course, harmonically, and the music that he wrote was very, very, very different. So he broke boundaries, and he made a lot of things possible for us newcomers in the drum world. He made a lot of things possible like that. Okay, so
excellent.
Bill is a really one of a kind. I mean that album, that album title really sums it up. Basically, that's who is. So when he
completely appropriate.
Yeah, exactly. So when he said what he said, I was, to say the least, extremely flattered, and it's like Bill Bruford. Okay, wow. Okay.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It was sitting here trying to think of some.
Yeah, I mean, he was.
Excellent.
He's been.
You asked me some of.
So sorry.
No, I was saying he's been. Go ahead. He's been extremely.
he's been extremely generous with his very, very kind words, and he's also written some liner notes to one of my latest albums I've done with the Sirkis Bialas IQ. So yeah, over the years we've been in touch, and he came around to my house one day, and we did this thing where he was writing his book, which he interviewed me for, and also other drummers. He had a book about creativity and about the uncharted territory of creativity and so on, and all that kind of thing. So I was lucky to be one of the people he interviewed for that book.
Excellent. That's got to be great. You asked me my favorite drummers, and I'm sitting there thinking, okay, in which style? Because you talk about jazz. Jack DeJohnette popped in my mind. Tony Williams popped into my mind. I mean, to play with Miles Davis when you're 17 years old, that's I can't even fathom anything like that, you know.
Yeah.
And Lenny White also came to mind because you talked about cymbals, and Lenny has a splash cymbal that just it rings out so beautifully. I just love the sound of that. And I'm a guitar player, you know, so to speak, but I love drums. You know, I absolutely love drums. So, you know, I think about fusion or anything like that. You know, Phil Collins comes to mind, and Neil Peart comes to mind, and it just there's so many of them. Terry Bozzio freaks me out because of the size of that massive kid he plays, and I just I can't even begin to fathom that. But there's just so many, you know, just so many great musicians. This has been a blast, but take a moment and plug yourself. Where can we find you? What should we be looking for from you?
Well, if you want to hear some of the music that I've been writing lately, you can go on YouTube and look for my channel, and I've got a playlist called Time for Space. And Time for Space is just a series of drum videos, basically of me playing on top of the music that I've written. So I've created some play-along version of the music, not a super length videos, about anything from 1.5 minutes to 3 minutes videos. There's currently around 75 of them, I think, of tunes that I've been writing lately. And it's been a real blast and fantastic I'm really enjoying making those videos. So that's my new toy, basically. Other than that, you know, I'm on social media, Facebook and Instagram. I have a website, asafsirkis.com. There's a few albums out that I've, that are solo albums, my own albums, which if anyone wants to check out, they can go to my Bandcamp page. Everything's there. Also, if someone is a drummer and wants to play along with some of those songs that I've made, the play-alongs, I made them available on my Bandcamp page as well. What else plug? I've just done a new recording with my new quartet, which is Kevin Glasgow on bass, Frank Harrison on keys, and David Preston on guitar, with special guest Sylvia Bialas on vocals. And that's been recorded, and it's been mixed in the next few months, and hopefully will be released sometimes next year, hopefully before the summer. I think that's basically it.
Okay, wonderful. We will find you out there. Please, people out there who've been watching this, like, subscribe, say hello to Asaf. He's just an amazing musician. You're going to enjoy every bit of it. My friend, I can't thank you enough for taking the time to talk to me.
Thank you so much.
It's been a lot of fun, and we will be no trouble. We'll be listening to you, and we look forward to seeing you down the road.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Great.